Hey guys, Sableye here, and welcome back to some more Players Cup 2 match analysis. So we're going to go over winners round 3 in today's video, and we're up against Mike D'Angelo. So he's a really good player and a really good guy, but regardless of that, let's just jump right into the set. So like we said, we're going to go off the same thing we normally do here and just point out the interesting options of their team immediately before we get into the match. So first thing that stands out to me is Thunderous with Thunder Punch rather than the Wild Charge. So that is automatically a weaker damage output move that I think I may be able to play around with it later on. Something good to keep in mind for late game maybe. Tapu Fini having no Calm Mind is a huge one. I know Taunt seems interesting, but it's not necessarily... I think Taunt is a really good option, but I don't think it's really going to help him in this matchup. I think I can just Calm Mind around it. Brutal Swing, of course, into the Metagross is common. Metagross having Rock Slide, I think, is the only other thing that's really shocking. I guess the Snarl and Parting Shot on Incineroar would also make things interesting as well. But regardless, the big ones are no Calm Mind on Finny in exchange for Taunt. Having the Rock move on Metagross, which annoys my Rotom Heat a little bit, and having the Thunder Punch instead of Wild Charge on Thunderous here. But he's selecting his team right now. Well, there we go. Honestly, I thought I cut that part out a little bit better, but that's perfectly fine. The extra few seconds isn't too bad as we jump into team preview now. So, the big thing for me in this one, guys... Oh, also, before we get into this is a very long set. So if you guys got water or a snack or something, you may want to grab it before watching this video. But regardless of that, we're gonna go... we're gonna start looking at our leads here. Basically, I have a lot of things I could do here. Because Glacier looks amazing, right outside of the Metagross. But the problem is the Metagross. Because I can't really bring Glacier, because if he just leads Metagross, it just sets up the Metagross, I'm in a lot of trouble, right? And I kind of need Tapu Fini as a really solid pivot. And like I said before, I can Calm Mind through. I can out-Calm Mind his Fini because he doesn't have Calm Mind. Yes, he has Taunt, but I can probably get a Calm Mind up before he decides to get a Taunt off. And at least that's +1/+1 compared to his neutral. Right, so that's something I definitely want to bring in this game. As you see, I did make that late game adjustment. We also have the option of the fact that he has Thunder Punch on that Thunderous, I should say. So I believe Finny should be able to take that. We are a fairly bulky Finny, and Finny should be able to take that from the Thunderous. So that should not be a real issue for us. But the big thing is going to be stalling out his Thunderous, because I feel like he's going to go Thunderous mode, right? And to me, my game plan is not to max Rotom Heat. Like, I want to be able to utilize Rotom Heat as a switch-in and still utilize and bring the basically late game Dragapult is my game plan going into this one. But we'll see how things played out as we get into things here. He's got the basic trainer card. He's just like, you know what? No, I don't have time for this. I'm ready to go with this trainer card. Who cares about the trainer card? I'm gonna be good at VGC instead. Okay, so regardless of that, we've got Thunderous Tapu Fini, which is honestly, give or take what I was expecting from him. And I know he doesn't have a lot of answers to Rotom Heat, and in the past, in practice and everything, everybody's just like, oh, you know, I'm going to max Tapu Fini here, obliterate this Rotom Heat, and then from there I'm going to be in a really, really good spot. So, for me, what I thought was my best play here was just getting super aggressive immediately by maxing Rotom Heat, and just basically forcing his hand a little bit, and matching his max, because he's either going to max Fini here, or he's going to swap Finny and max Thunderous. There's basically only those two options, right? There's not really anything that's really going to deviate between the two of us here. So, we're going to get Tapu Fini in here pretty safely. If he's going to go for anything into this Finny, it's going to be an Airstream. So Finny should be able to take it. However, I do take a little bit of extra chip damage here, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but it's definitely decent. As you do see him maxing the Thunderous here, and right now I'm very happy I decided to max Rotom to keep up the pace, right? Because the problem with Thunderous is when they start stacking that ability, like they get the Defiant. Obviously, Defiant's not gonna matter here unless I max the Pulse, but it's when they start maxing the Defiance, they start maxing the Airstream boost, they start maxing. I was gonna say Electric Terrain, but that doesn't help the Thunderous because they're in the air anyways. And they start maxing the superpowers as well with the Max Knuckle. So there's a lot of things like that they can start steamrolling off of. So for Thunderous, my game plan here was just to not let it get going. You know, kind of hit it before it started getting going. As you do see the Airstream right now into the Tapu Fini, and that does way too much. And in fact, not only does it do way too much, it just keeps me just out of berry range. Just out of berry range, which is even worse. But We do see the Life Orb, which, I mean, was on the team preview, so I was already well aware of that. As Finny dodges the Muddy Water, which I think hurts me more than it helps me. Because if he were to have hit that Muddy Water, I would have got my berry, and I would have been able to do things, and at least keep things around and going for the time being. But regardless of that, the other important takeaway that I noticed here is his Tapu Fini is actually, or I can't really say that anymore. I was going to say his Tapu Fini was faster than my Rotom, and that's what I thought at the time being. And I was like, wait a second, hold on. The dynamic speed mechanic allows the Fini to go faster than me. So we still don't know the speeds here between Fini and Rotom just playing on. And this is one of the things where I have to pick which one I want to kill here. But like I could go right after Thunders, and my initial thought was, you know, I can kill Thunders. We're in the sun now, so Thunders getting down here would be phenomenal here. But at the end of the day, I thought to myself, maybe Thunders isn't the threat. I think Finny's more of the threat because I have an Urshifu and a Dragapult in the back. I can deal with Thunders, but Finny's the one I can't deal with. As we do see the Max Knuckle come out from this Thunders here into the Rotom for a little bit of chip damage, which I'm perfectly okay with. So definitely a good play on his end to not target the Finny right there, predicting my Protect. But I had to make the safe play and Protect there. There was no way I was ever going to not make that play. As he actually Moonblasts into Rotom as well, maybe trying to catch a switch out, but I was never swapping Rotom. I guess it's also just consistent damage as well, rather than missing a potential Muddy Water. So we're also in the sun, so that does definitely make sense. As we do get big damage off onto that Tapu Fini right there, and that's damage that I love to see. Right, this Tapu Fini, I was going to say, is very close into Wicked Blow range now, but it also procced the Citrus Berry, which anytime you can get big damage onto a Tapu Fini, especially when your team's only answer to Tapu Fini is Rotom Heat, getting the big damage off onto it is phenomenal. But regardless of that, here we go. We're going to keep things going here, and I think we got to hit the Thunders. I don't actually, did I go after Finny? I think I just went right back after Finny into the Protect though, but I believe that's what I ended up doing, because I still don't think Thunders can kill Rotom, which was kind of my thought process here, and we'll see what he decides to go for. Because I honestly, this matchup, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I tried to block it out of my head. So going back through this is going to be something that's definitely needed, but definitely a good match to analyze for sure. It was a good set. He does just Airstream and pick off the Finny there, and I figured it was worth letting Finny go down because a full health Urshifu and a full health Dragapult was just more important in my opinion. Like, there was really no reason for me to sack anything else that I had in the back there. As Thunders loses some HP right there, and Finny's just going to drop Muddy Water. Like I said, in the sun, that's not going to kill Rotom, and we're going to get a Max Lightning off here, and this is just going to pick off the Finny. So basically, everything's going according to plan right now. We've both killed each other's Finnies, we've both hindered each other's Dynamax users, and both of them are going to be small now. So I think both of us did a really good job of just, I guess, using our Max to our best advantage to take away a threat, but at the same time, keeping without really doing too much damage and being conservative without losing too many pieces. So it's one of those things, like, you had to find the right balance, and I honestly think both of us found that balance in this game one here. As I do bring in Dragapult here, just because I know we're not going to be faster, but knowing this Thunders only has Fly, Fighting Move, and a Thunder Punch, Dragapult is in a very decent spot. Also worthy to note right now is that I was looking at the team sheet, and like I pointed out earlier, it is Snarl and Parting Shot, and there is no actual physical Dark Move on this, or big damage Dark Move, I should say, on this Incineroar. So Dragapult's actually relatively safe right now. There's not a lot that he can really do. Finny's gone, Misty Terrain is gone, so just Dragon Darts to me just seems like the right play. And the question is still figuring out what he has in the back without losing too many pieces. But regardless of that, we're going to protect Rotom here. Probably if he's going to fake out, that's where the fake out's going to go. And I guess he could also superpower that slot as well to pick up the knockout. So I think that was a very safe play on my end. There was no real way he's going to hurt my Dragapult here, but we're going to see what he goes for here. Okay. Here we go. So Rotom, we're going to see the Protect from Rotom here. And he is, I believe, just going to go for the straight up Thunder Punch here. No fake out at all. So maybe going for a Parting Shot. I believe that's what he went for. And he actually paralyzes with the first Thunder Punch that he goes for. So he gets the para, and not only does he paralyze me with the first one, he gets the full para on the first one. But anyways, Anyways, protecting Rotom this turn really didn't gain him too much. As you see there, I do take another Thunder Punch from this Thundurus. So, hey, we're still not in a bad spot as long as we can get some attacks off. And I could bring an Urshifu here, but I believe... Actually, I did decide to bring an Urshifu. I was going to say I should probably have let Rotom go down, but I think I needed to keep Rotom. Because I still didn't know what he had in the back, and it could have been the Metagross. So that's why I kept Rotom. I knew there was a reason I kept Rotom, I just couldn't remember what it was until now. But perhaps maybe sacking Rotom would have been better. But if I'm correct here, I believe he just takes chip damage, and then I believe it's Porygon 2 in the back that at the time I didn't know. But I will definitely be pivoting out of Rotom here. Like, this is still an interesting spot, right? Because to me, it's one of the things where I need to save things. And he's Flare Blitzing. I know it's in the sun, but that's not going to kill Urshifu. And he has to be somewhat scared, to some extent, of Dragapult still. Like, Dragon Darts from Dragapult is still going to rip through most of his team here. And we do see him switch Incineroar into the Porygon 2, so now I know what he has in the back. Urshifu switch-in looks phenomenal right now. And the Protect on the Thundurus. This turn was very, very fortunate for me here, because he could have definitely gotten a little bit aggressive. Maybe doubled that Rotom slot, I would have lost Urshifu. Definitely wasn't the safest switch-in for me, but it seemed to work. I think based on the read I had to make in the game right there, it seemed to work out for me. So now we're at a spot where, hey, he could fly, right? He could fly. He could also switch back into Incineroar. And there's a lot of things that he wants to do here. I believe Porygon 2 is the one that switches out into Incin, I believe. Because switching out Thundurus, Close Combat, and Dragon Darts probably still kills Porygon 2. So there's no reason for him to switch out the Thundurus right now. So I made sure I just went after the Porygon 2 here. Like I said, Thundurus isn't a threat as long as I'm clicking darts. So gonna see what he decided to go for. Like I said, I believe it is that Incineroar for the Porygon 2 switch in here. Yeah. And Porygon 2 is gonna go out. Like I said, Incineroar coming back in. And my thought process here, like I was saying, is just damage the Porygon 2. Like, I'm gonna click Dragon Darts. If the moment he doesn't protect with Thundurus, he can't kill Dragapult. The single dart is gonna be enough to kill this Thundurus. There's the Thunder Punch into Urshifu, does a big chunk of damage. Thankfully, no para right there, which is phenomenal. Urshifu's gonna get a close combat right there, does massive damage into the Incineroar, and thankfully he's also Goggles Incineroar, which is interesting to note. Because since he's Goggles, there's no berry that I had to worry about. So I could get that chip down right to, like, I think that's 1 HP. That might even be a damage roll. Like, the amount of luck going on right now and to say, hey, maybe I got the high roll and it was never going to die from that. I don't know. Right? But to me, it looks like it very well could have been a damage roll there. So, anyways, I'm going to ignore that for now because I think we're still in a very good spot. And the thought process here is he wants to fake out and Trick Room. So what I decided to do is I don't want to protect this turn. I want to just get a close combat off. I know I'm not going to pick up a knockout, but by going for Dragon Darts in close combat, he basically has to pick him on to kill, and he can't kill him on if he's going for Trick Room. So as you can see me there, I'm going back and forth up and down the list. What do I want to click here? But I basically said to myself, as long as Pult's not getting paralyzed, we should be in a good spot to win this game. And there we go. We do see the fake out. And like I said, it's going to just be a Trick Room here. And we're going to get the Dragon Darts. Thankfully, no para right there. We're going to get the darts off. Going to kill the Incineroar and a little bit of chip damage onto the Porygon 2. And now we get a little bit of mind games. Because like I said, it's very obvious to me that he's Trick Rooming here. There's no surprise whatsoever. And there's the Trick Room. So here's where things get interesting. I could protect my Urshifu to stop the Thunderbolt from killing my Urshifu. But if I do that and he recovers, I'm actually in a very poor position. So I decided to just double attack. And I think I still stand by this play, because if he recovers into a close combat and a darts, he's getting smacked. I could have tried to preserve Urshifu, like protect, preserve Urshifu, swap in Rotom, preserve Urshifu again, but I still think I lose that endgame because there's an extra turn of Trick Room that I need a double on. So either way, we're not going to get paralyzed here, we're going to get Dragon Darts off, and this is what I wanted to see. This is the part of the game that I wanted to see. And we're slowly losing damage with Life Orb, and his game plan now, I believe, is just recover up. Recover up, I have everything really low, and this is an insanely close endgame right now. He's gonna recover. That's a given, so I figure, you know what, let's just not worry about nasty plotting or anything, let's just attack. You know, if he chooses to attack the Rotom here to kill it, then my darts should pick it off, but he does just recover. The smart thing to do is recover. See how much damage I'm putting out, before he decides whether or not he should be attacking or not. But we do thankfully get through that paralysis again, getting some Dragon Darts off into the Porygon 2, and these are starting to do damage now. I do regret this turn. If I would have clicked Overheat, I would have picked off this Porygon, but I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to risk the miss, and I thought that might have been enough. So we do see the Porygon survive there, and hey, guess what? We get to do this all over again. But another Darts and a Thunderbolt I am still confident in picking off, as we do see another Recover come out. So, either way, regardless of that, like I said, there's the para. That is the para that I did not want to see earlier. And now we see this Rotom drop a Thunderbolt right now into the Porygon 2. And this is where things get interesting, because I have to click Darts. He's still in a spot where he has to recover, since and it's on the last turn of Trick Room, as I decided to wisely check. But he's still in a spot where he has to click Recover. Because if he targets one of these two, I get 2 attacks off with Pult, or I get 2 attacks off with Rotom, assuming I don't get Para. He basically needs a Para here on the Dragapult in order to win this game. But we're going to see what he goes for. And we're going to get another Recover from the Porygon 2, which is not shocking. And once again, I Thunderbolted again. I didn't really want to risk the Overheat miss, because I still don't think I needed to get it. And I still don't think I needed to risk it. And there's another Paralysis on this Dragapult. So Dragapult decides to say, hey, I don't really want to move today, so you're going to have to go ahead and win this game without me. But now I have to risk it. Now I think I have to gamble the Overheat. It's still really, really close, but I didn't want to... If I got paralyzed 3 times and missed an Overheat to lose this game, I figured to myself, the RNG, whatever you wanted to call them, did not want me winning this game. So I figured I'd have to gamble on it. I wasn't comfortable with the Thunderbolt plus Dragon Darts kill, so I decided to gamble on the Overheat. Thankfully, I do connect, and I stand by that, because I don't think Thunderbolt plus 2 Darts was killing. Anyways, we do thankfully not get paralyzed, and we're going to get the Dragon Darts off, and 2 of these will be enough to pick off this Porygon 2. It would have been super close. Like, it would have been insanely close had I not been able to, had I not either got paralyzed an extra time, or I had Thunderbolted it. Like, it would have been way too close for comfort, right? So, the only good news, although he could still just recover stall that up, because if I would have Thunderbolted and he would have lived and got a Trick Room off, then he recovers, Dragapult attacks, it dies. If I don't get the roll right there, I probably lose. So at some point, I think I needed to go for the Overheat, unless of course Thunderbolt would have been enough. But regardless of that, that's going to be game 1. And now going into game 2 is a very interesting thought process, right? Because for me, in my eyes, right, I felt that what I did in that game was super, super solid. However, I know very well that he has a lot of tools on his end to be able to adapt to that very properly. Like he could easily adapt to that and cover and shut me down. Because the Thundurus, of course, being the maxer, is really, really, really terrifying, right? You give speed boost, you give knuckles, all of that stuff stacks on that, especially on like something like a Metagross as a partner. I was very comfortable and very confident in the fact that hey, he's probably going to be bringing Metagross here. And I don't know I don't remember exactly what I decided to do in game 2. Like, I don't remember if I decided to change it up or if I decided to stick with the same thing. I believe I decided to end up sticking with the same thing. And honestly, if I would have known it was taking him this long, what I should have done was just cut out the in-between here to save like 2-3 minutes between battles. Just cut out the whole in-between, like selecting teams. But I didn't really think of that. But either way, like I said, it's one of the things now I have to decide whether or not I want to stick with the same lead, same back, or if I want to make a slight adjustment. And to me, I felt very comfortable with what I did. Although, as you can see here, did I lead Finny last time? I don't even remember what I did game 1 here because I wasn't paying attention. I believe I led Urshifu last time, and I think I decided to go back and lead Urshifu again. Because leading Finny, yeah, I know for sure I changed this, because looking at what I put on the screen here, and I'm like, okay, if I do this and he leads Thundurus, I have absolutely 0 switch in. So as you can see, I do decide to go back in, make the correct adjustment there, and basically lead the exact same thing I led game 1. And now we have mind games, because I'm fairly confident he's going to bluff something similar and have either a Metagross in the back, probably instead of the Porygon 2. That's what I was thinking at this point, but I'm still very comfortable in the fact that, hey, I'm probably going to be just fine doing that. And there I was basically just waiting to see. I wanted him to lock in first, but at 20 seconds I figured it was long enough to make it look like, hey, I was changing up what I was doing. basically that's why I wait. Right? Even if I'm doing the same thing, I don't want to lock in right away, because if I lock in right away, your opponent's already thinking, going, okay, hold up. He's going to do the exact same thing, right? So just mind games, even in team preview in a best of 3 is really interesting. I think the whole best of 3 concept, and I guess atmosphere, that's not definitely not the right word, but that's what we're going to go with. And I think I really like best of 3 so much more than best of 1. Like, and I know a lot of players say that, but not just even to prevent hacks, just for the sake of the mind games that are involved in it, and just being able to adjust correctly. But anyways, we are going to go with the same thing. You see my opponent going for the exact same thing as well, and this is where I decided to say, hey, I'm going to take it from I'm going to change my game plan from game 1 here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just target Finny immediately. Because once I get rid of the Finny, there's not much of a threat. And so that's what I decided to do. Once I get rid of the Finny, my Dragapult, my Urshifu win this game. I think perhaps I should have swapped the Finny here, but I didn't want to swap the Finny and just eat a either a Thunder Punch or a Max Lightning into the face of Tapu Fini, because it's gonna die to that. It's gonna die to the Max Lightning. I still don't know the calc on the Thunder Punch, but regardless of that. I don't want to be taking mad damage with Finny like I did last game. I still think Finny is a very solid endgame here, especially after the max of the Thundurus. Regardless of that, they're actually going to swap in Metagross right now. Could you imagine if I would have called that with the Overheat? But that was not safe at all. So, I think once again, it's just basically both of us have the same idea, you know? Max management, we'll call it, I guess. We're going to manage our maxers here. And he's going to max the Thundurus, I'm going to max the Rotom, and it's just one of the things where we're trying to trade off without losing too much damage, without losing too much potential, right? I get mad damage onto Metagross here, so I will take this play every day of the week. Like, if he protects Finny that turn, he gains nothing. In fact, all he does is put himself in range of another Max Lightning. So I was very confident that he wasn't going to be protecting. So this switch into Metagross here, I'm perfectly fine taking free damage wherever I can get it. So at this point, the reason I decided to stay in with Urshifu is, like I said, I didn't want to take damage, and Finny's not going to be able, he's not going to be able to break my sash and kill me as long as I'm detected. So he can't do both this turn, and at least that guarantees that I have 4 Mon still after this first turn. So we do see the Airstream. Gonna just rip through Urshifu, hits really hard too. Even through Upduck, he did crit me. Not that I think that mattered, because like another hit from this Thundurus is going to kill me. Like, the only one thing I would say that potentially does is I don't actually know the calc on this, right? So maybe that Airstream, because I know for sure he's going to Knuckle next turn, because that's going to be the Knuckle to pick off the Urshifu, right? And that makes just the most sense, because I'm low enough, the Knuckle, you get the attack boost. You don't need to go any faster than what you're going right now, right? So I figured, you know what? I was going to call the Knuckle. I'm going to tell you right now, I was going to call the Knuckle and hard swap in Dragapult, but I was petrified of getting that call wrong. And if I make that call, I think I'm in a really good spot, but I obviously decided not to make it and just go for a Sucker Punch Overheat for some extra chip damage. I was fairly confident the Metagross in Metagross protecting here, because Urshifu just Sucker Punches it, Rotom just overheats it. Metagross doesn't want to be on the field right now. He doesn't really have a switch in, because I could just Lightning it again and that would kill the Finny. So he has no switch in, so there you go. Metagross with the Protect. Called that one correctly right there. And you're going to see Thundurus go now. Okay, I should say, you're going to go for the Sucker Punch here. And this is like I said, I could have called this Max Knuckle. Now, if he doesn't crit the Airstream, I don't know if this Knuckle is actually enough to take out Urshifu. It would have been interesting to see had I still had more HP and if I had not been crit. Like, I would have been really intrigued to see how that played out. Like, I'm pretty sure it kills me anyways, because he is Life Orb, and it is Max Knuckle. Like, it is still super effective. So it would have definitely been interesting to see, but we'll never get to see that now because he did crit me, but I don't think it mattered anyways. But either way, I still think we're managing this Max fairly well. As I take some water, because apparently I don't drink enough. So we're going to keep things going. We're getting the Finny in here. The reasoning for bringing in Finny here is basically if I bring in Dragapult, Dragapult gets slapped by the Max move from Tornadus. Right? So what I want to do is I want to have Dragapult at full HP, so I don't have to worry. So I don't have to worry about things like being chipped into maybe, I don't know, a Thunder Punch range from this Thundurus. Basically, I want to be able to beat this Thundurus 1v1. Now Metagross is here. And basically I get a free kill into the Metagross slot, whether he switches in Finny or just leaves his Metagross in to die. This is a free turn for me. So we're going to protect our Finny. And there's nothing he can do that really threatens my Rotom Heat right now. Right? The worst case scenario here is that he Airstreams and Rock Slides. Or Knuckles and Rock Slides into the Rotom Heat, but that's not going to kill it. So protecting Finny is 100% the play. Getting damage off with Rotom Heat, once again, the play. And there we go. We just go for the Airstream here to make sure his Metagross at least is going to get some sort of attack damage off, as we do get the Protect on that Airstream there. And Finny takes respectable damage through a Protect, but I mean, I'm content with that. That's not a lot of damage through the Protect right there. And I believe it's just going to be a Rock Slide that came out. Yeah. He does decide to go for the Rock Slide. Rotom, of course, not going to be very nimble, and it is going to get hit by that, so that's fine. It actually did a lot of damage considering, I mean, I guess he is +1, so that's respectable. As the Lightning comes out and picks off the Metagross right now, so I believe Incineroar comes in here for my opponent. And when Incin comes in, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so he wants to fake out Rotom. That's a given, right? He's going to fake out the Rotom, and probably just Thunder Punch my Finny, and because of that, I decided to swap out Finny. I'm getting ahead here, but because of that, I wanted to swap out Finny and bring in Dragapult. And that basically covers every single option that he could go for. If he fakes out the Finny slot, Dragapult doesn't get faked out, and Rotom gets the attack off into Thundurus. However, if he decides to fake out Rotom and I swap in Dragapult, we've seen from game 1 that the Thunder Punch is not a 2-hit knockout. So I can freely switch this in. Like I said, he doesn't have that big damaging move on Incineroar into Dark type in like a Lash Out or the, what's it called, Darkest Lair. He doesn't have that. So basically I don't have to worry about him calling his Dragapult switch in. There's not a lot that he can really do. But I am going to actually protect Rotom. And like I said, this basically made sure Rotom stayed on the field this turn. Because I wanted to make sure I had 3 Mons after this turn. I could have got greedy and attacked into the Thundurus here, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get faked out. So I decided to play it safe there as Rotom protects, and we're going to get Thunder Punched, and everything just basically... English, Ryan. English is tough, but basically this turn's going to play out exactly as I expected. Fake out going into the Rotom Protect, and the Thunder Punch going out into Dragapult here. And we take this, and I was like, wait, that did a lot of damage. Oh yeah, that's why. It's a crit. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, now another one's going to kill me. Now another one's going to kill me, and I don't have the luxury that I did before. Now I'm actually in a lot of trouble because he can just simply play into the mind games of the fact that, hey, Dragapult's forced to protect here, right? But I actually went for the Phantom Force here because I figured I wanted to gamble on the fact that, hey, he is going to click Thunderbolt. So he's going to click Fly, predicting me to protect, and then come back down and finish me off that way because we knew he had Fly. So I decided to say, you know what, he's going to fly, and I'm going to disappear into the void. Then he'll land and miss me, and then I'll finish him off. I thought that was my best play here. I could have played the mind game, right? I could have played the mind game where, hey, if he flies this turn, I just protect next turn. But that doesn't really help me here because Incineroar, of course, oh well. Because Incineroar is there and it's probably going to be able to Flare Blitz into this Rotom Heat, and that's going to do a lot of damage here. But we're going to get Rotom just to pick off this Thundurus. This thing needed to go, right? And what are we going to see? I believe it was a parting shot off of the Rotom, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's just a parting shot, and I'm okay with that. I mean, granted, I could have played it a little bit differently, but if I needed to make sure it was at least 2v2 after this turn. Like, if I wanted to not kill the Thundurus and chip damage the Incineroar, I definitely could have done that. But the problem is, if I get the call wrong, right? That was basically if I got the call wrong, right? In which I did get the call wrong. I was like, if he flies and I get the call right, I'm in a fine spot. But if I get the call wrong and he doesn't fly, then the Thunderbolt picks off Thundurus, and it basically covered my options here. So now, this is what I wanted to point out at the beginning, right? My game plan, right from the get-go here, was out Calm Mind to Finny, right? Obviously, once he preserved Finny, that's what the game plan became, right? I have Calm Mind, he doesn't. I have a free Calm Mind here. Obviously, I believe I should be double protecting here because he's Fake Out and he can't Calm Mind, so he gains nothing from doing anything here. This is why I think Calm Mind Tapu Finny is super, super important. Because you can bet if Mike over here had Calm Mind, he could have easily faked out. I couldn't have really safely double protected, right? Because he fakes out and Calm Minds, and that's a free Calm Mind for him. right? But now I don't have to worry about that, so that's something definitely in my favor. So I decided to double protect here. There's not a lot he can do. It's just going to be a fake out and an attack that doesn't really do a whole lot of chip damage here. As we do see the Rotom protect, and we're going to see the Finny follow suit very shortly. And the question is, what is the speed tier on this Finny? Because we still don't know that. We don't know the speed tier between this Rotom and this Finny, or between my Finny and his Finny. So this is where it's time to see that. We're going to see the Tapu Finny drop a Moonblast here. So just completely ignoring Rotom, and as we see the sun fade. So I would say the annoying part is him having Snarl and Parting Shot, because if he's Parting Shotting, he has to target one. But I'm pretty sure Rotom right now is in range of a Muddy Water regardless. So we're going to just start combining, and realistically, Tapu Fini with a Wiki Berry, with Calm Mind, should be able to take this. Right? Because once I get my boosts up, there's no way he's going to be able to chip me down. Rotom actually is faster, and Finny doesn't protect. So I do get a little bit of chip damage onto that Finny, which is very nice. As my Tapu Fini decides to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to click Calm Mind. And seeing my Tapu Fini be faster is good information as well, if this were to go to something like a Game 3. But anyways, his Tapu Fini is going to go for the Muddy Water. Rotom, of course, is going to be very nice here and dodge Muddy Water. And basically this is Muddy Water. This is why people use Muddy Water. And there's the accuracy drop. So it's a high risk, high reward move. And I'm going to get the accuracy drop on my Finny, and my Finny's going to get a Calm Mind, which we already saw get the Calm Mind off. But unfortunately, we're going to lose our special attack stat, which I fully expected. Like, that's not shocking to me. Anyways, so Thunderbolt going to go back out into the Finny here. If he protects, I just get free Muddy Water damage. It's not really a big deal here. But I don't think he's going to protect, because he should be able to take that Thunderbolt, especially after getting a Snarl off onto my Rotom. So basically at this point, just Muddy Water and Thunderbolt here. And we're going to go for it. So Thunderbolt coming out into Tapu Fini. Not going to pick up the knockout, but it's going to proc the Citrus Berry, of course. So Citrus Berry brings it back up. And at this point, it's just about hitting Muddy Waters. Right? So Tapu Fini's going to Muddy Water. And hey, I missed his Finny. I do hit the instant though, which is very, very nice. So we both have one Muddy Water miss, which is respectable. And he's going to Muddy Water. He's going to double connect the Muddy Water, might I add. Anyways, he's going to double connect the Muddy Water. Rotom, like I said, was in range of that. And Incineroar is now going to click Snarl once again. And of course, he's going to connect it once again. So he snarls once again. And guys, I don't want to say Hacks was the reason that I lost this game. But I do want to... I lost this game too. But at the end of the day, I mean, realistically, you've got to think, assuming Finny's hitting these Muddy Waters, we're in a good spot. And I know I'm a little preemptive here, because you guys are saying, you know what, I just missed a Finny. Missing the Finny isn't that big of a deal. The next few turns are going to illustrate why Muddy Water sucks. Incineroar is going to dodge the attack. That one I needed to hit. But anyways, Muddy Water coming out, going to go into the Finny. I'm not going to get this special attack drop, because, you know, actually I did, never mind. I did get the special attack drop. But regardless of that, Tapu Fini, of course, going to go for the taunt. I do dodge the taunt, but that didn't matter. I wasn't going for another Calm Mind at any point. At this point, I need to get the damage off with Muddy Water. And the problem with missing these earlier Muddy Waters is that my damage output right now is severely going down. And yeah, I know I'm -1 accuracy. And honestly, I don't even know... What is Muddy Water? 90 accuracy? Anyways, Finny's going to go Muddy Water. I'm going to miss the Finny again, so I'm not even getting the opportunity at this point to chip down this Tapu Fini. Even if I wanted to. But Tapu Fini now going to Moonblast. Thankfully, I am going to dodge. And this game, too, is just absolutely ridiculous. We both could barely hit a move. Right? And the thing is, now he's getting Flare Blitzes off, which I don't like to see. So right now, another Muddy Water should be enough to pick off this Incineroar. Or at least put this Incineroar in range of where he's going to go for Flare Blitz and he's going to kill himself because of recoil. But Muddy Water, as you see right there, misses the Incineroar again. So, hey, what can I do about that? I do get another accuracy drop on the Finny, but that's not the one I needed to hit. The one I needed to hit was the Incineroar. This is just a game all around that was just full of hacks. He gets the special attack drop from the Moonblast right there, might I add. And we're going to get our Wiki Berry back up here. And he's going to go Flare Blitz. So he decides to go for the Flare Blitz, and Finny, of course, like I said, is going to take this once again. So once again, we have the faster Finny. This Incineroar would have been dead had I hit one of the few Muddy Waters that I went for earlier. So we're going to Muddy Water again. Let's give this a shot, see what happens. And Tapu Fini's going to Muddy Water. Hey, look at that. We missed again. But I know this isn't really great match analysis there, guys. But at this point, it's just two people spamming Muddy Waters back and forth, hoping to hit and dodge. That's basically how this game plays out. If I would have hit this Incineroar at any point, I think we would have won that. So a very hacksy end to Game 2, unfortunately. But once again, I still feel comfortable going into Game 3. Like, he can't hacks me out in Game 1, get this lucky in Game 2 with all those dodges, and in Game 3, get somehow lucky again, right? So I'm still feeling very comfortable going into Game 3 right now. But, like I said, I've also lasted that long because I was getting accuracy drops as well, right? So yes, I was missing the Incineroar, but I was also accuracy dropping the Finny. So it was just really hacksy all around. I don't want to say it was all on me getting hacked out there, because realistically, I could have, at that point, Moon Blasted the Incineroar. Although I don't know if that actually picks up the knockout, because I know it's not spread, but it is neutral. So Moonblast would be a little bit more accurate. What's Muddy Water? Is Muddy Water 90 or 85 accuracy? I don't know. I think it's 90. And while we're talking about this, I am curious if it was 90 and I had one accuracy drop. So I had 60% accurate Muddy Waters, basically. And I know it's not an accurate move. I get that. Like, I really do get that. But at the end of the day, what did I miss? 3? See, I would have taken the hits on the Incineroar rather than the accuracy drops on the Finny. Because once the Incineroar was gone, my Finny 1v1's the Finny. There was no question about that. So, it was a little unfortunate there. But going into Game 3, I said, hey, why mix it up? You know what? Why mix it up? And once again, like I said earlier, just the waiting game right now. I'm not going to mix it up. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait for him to lock in. And then once he locks in, or once I figure that, hey, it looks like I may have tried to change something up here, I'll go and I'll do it a bit later. I can lock in, right? But like I said, he got pretty lucky game 1 with the Thunder Punch Paras. I somehow managed to pull it back out. And in Game 2, he got lucky again. He crit the Dragapult, by the way, which I think, honestly, is the big play, was the big factor in that one. I think him critting the Dragapult with that Thunder Punch changed that Game 2, more so than the Muddy Waters at the end. The Muddy Waters at the end, that's just playing with RNG, right? Is it frustrating that I couldn't hit a move? Oh yeah, you bet it was. But like, I'm sure he's thinking the same thing on the other side there, right? He wasn't hitting his moves either. So that's just the nature of Muddy Water. So he does decide to mix things up a little bit this time, and with going with the Incineroar and the Thundurus. And this one I can't say I liked. I really did not like how this lead played out here. I was kind of hoping for kind of much of the same thing on his end. So a really good adjustment here for sure. And you're going to hear me a lot. You might hear me complain about hacks, guys. But at the end of the day, you've got to give. And a lot of people say, you know what? When they lose, they say, oh, you know what? I didn't play well enough to deserve. I didn't play well enough to deserve this game. You know, but they never credit. A lot of people never credit how well their opponents have played. Right? So I always try to make sure I give credit where credit's due. Right? But either way, I am going to just preserve my my Urshifu right here. And this game I decided to mix things up a little bit, I believe. I think I said to myself, hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure he's going after Urshifu right here. So I'm able to get a nice little free nasty plot right now. Because he's probably going to party shot or snarl. So if he party shots or snarls, and I believe it was a party shot into Finny is what ended up happening, I decided to say, hey, I'm not going to max this turn. I'm going to get a nasty plot up. So I go for the detect. Airstream comes out right now into the... Okay, he maxed Knuckle, which was a very good play. Just to get the attack boost a little bit earlier here, because he probably figured I was protecting or switching out, which is definitely a perfect play. So he Knuckles right there. I could have switched into Dragapult, but there was no reason to switch into Dragapult in a very, very intense Game 3 right here. That would have been a very risky call, considering he's Airstreamed the first two times Game 1. So that was a really safe play, really good play on his end. As I do get the nasty plot here, as we see the parting shot come out from this Incineroar. And this is the reason I plotted. Because by going for the nasty plot here, it puts me in a position where now, hey, even after that party shot, I'm at +1. So whatever you bring in has to be scared of this Rotom. Like, there is no way you're not scared of my Rotom right here. And I believe he keeps the Metagross, right? It worked for him last game. Yes, Metagross did nothing, but I was very confident that he kept Metagross in this game rather than the Porygon 2. Which is why I'm okay leaving Urshifu on the field. Because if I thought for a minute that he would have brought Porygon 2 back, after it did nothing for him in Game 1, if I thought for the slightest of chances that he would have brought Porygon 2 back, I would not have been leaving Urshifu in like this, all free like this and open, right? There was no way I was going to do that if I thought for a minute that he was going to bring in Porygon 2. But basically, we're back at +1, and seeing the Metagross basically to me confirms the fact that he did not bring Porygon 2 because he needs Finny in this matchup. Finny is a must bring in this matchup. So now that we've done our stuff, we get to just basically get attacks off here. And I decided to Sucker Punch and overheat the Thundurus. I don't need Urshifu anymore. And Metagross could easily be baiting me here and just swap back into Tapu Fini. I don't actually remember how the turn played out. But my thought process was, like I said, actually, I did end up actually deciding to target Metagross here. And as you can see, I'm very, very differential here. But I think the right play is hit the Metagross. But I think I should be hitting the Metagross with Lightning. I almost think Sucker Punch, doubling the Metagross would be the right play with a Lightning and a Sucker Punch. But that's besides the point here. What I decided to do is Sucker Punch the Thundurus and overheat the Metagross. Basically, my thought process here was Sucker Punch plus an overheat. Sucker Punch into Thundurus does chip damage. Overheat into Metagross either A, kills, or B, if it doesn't kill and he protects or switches out, it sets the sun up. And if he sets the sun up, Rotom's in a spot to be able to rip through the Thundurus next turn with the sun. But no protects either way. We get the Sucker Punch off into the Thundurus, and the reason I thought he wasn't going to do anything with Metagross, like protect or switch out, is because earlier I called his protect the last time, right? So he figured maybe I'd call it again. So I'm not going to call it again. I'm going to make the right play here, and I am going to drop this Metagross. Of course, I take Rock Slide damage here, but I'm okay with this. Rock Slide, once again, a little bit of chip damage. Oh well, it's fine. And we're just going to get a Max Flare off. I'm going to drop this Metagross right now. And this is where things get interesting. Because he's got a boost on the Thundurus. We have the extra plays on... We have the extra turn of Max, I should say, on Rotom. And right there, that turn right here where I bring in Dragapult, is definitely a misplay. Because I said it in Game 1 and I said it in Game 2. You bring into Tapu Fini, protect, because Dragapult can take attacks. But Dragapult can't take the combination of attacks. So if I bring in Fini and protect, Fini can take that kind of those kind of combinations, right? But Dragapult cannot. So bringing in Dragapult here was definitely a misplay on my end. Like a big time misplay. But I definitely think I still had a chance, right? So I am going to protect. Basically, he's going to go after Dragapult. If he goes after Rotom with a parting shot or anything, I'm not overly concerned. So I basically decided to say, hey, I'm going to overheat the Thundurus right here. I don't remember if he correctly max guarded or not, because this is where the mind games happen to me. I could go into the Thundurus. It's in the sun now, so I'm thinking it's going to do a good chunk of damage. We saw the damage from Game 1. I know it's not going to kill, but it's going to at least do big damage. And with that kept in mind, I figured, you know what, let's rip through this thing pretty quickly here. He does actually decide to make the correct play and go for the max guard. So Lightning into the Incineroar would definitely have been a good play. But we do see the protect on the Dragapult here, just to make sure we're not doing anything. And I was okay with this, right? Because if he's max guarding, in my eyes, if he's max guarding, this parting shot just brings me back down to neutral, because I had my nasty plot earlier. This brings me back to neutral, and now I have the extra turn of max. He is no longer maxed with this Thundurus. This was my whole thought process here. Like, I'm still in a phenomenal spot because of my extra turn of max and that nasty plot turn 1. So, with that being said, I just have to find a way to play this game and pivot this game out very, very methodically. So, Tapu Fini coming in, and like I said, at this point, Tapu Fini is the one that I am scared of. Thundurus still doesn't scare me. I feel like Thundurus switches out. I actually do not remember. See, for me, the correct play is Lightning the Fini here. I don't remember had I Lightning the Fini or not, but Lightning into the Fini is definitely 100% the right play. And I do decide, as you can see, to go for the Lightning into Fini right there, and I'm going to Phantom Force the Fini as well. Because in my eyes, if anything is switching out, it's going to be the Thundurus. That's what my thought process is here. If he's going to switch out, it's going to be the Thundurus that switches out. Because Thundurus wants to bring in the Instant. It's a safe switch in. Instant comes in, eats the max flare. And basically, there's no reason for Fini to switch out. Yes, he might want to stop the electric move, I should say. But we've seen the fact that he lives the Max Lightning. He knows he lives the Max Lightning. So by me going for Max Lightning and a Phantom Force into the Fini slot, it forces his hand a little bit. But basically, there's a lot to think about in this turn, right? Especially if you're on his hand. He actually decides to swap out to Tapu Fini, which is a really, really good play. But let's see what the Thundurus decides to go for, because one, he could fly again. He could still fly. There's no reason for me to target that. And two, Thunder Punch we've seen. Thunder Punch isn't going to kill me. He decides to drop a superpower into Rotom. That does do big damage. He does get the defense drop here. So had I gone for something like a Dragon Darts right here, we would have been in a good spot. But there was no reason for me to Darts, because he did have the Finny, and I thought he would swap Thunders into Incineroar to eat the max overheat. I thought that was the play he would go for. But we get the max landing off into the Incineroar here for a little bit of chip damage. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty content, because in my eyes right here, right, the way I look at this game, his Thundurus probably thinks that this Phantasm is going out into Thundurus, right? So this is why I also went into the Finny slot, because he could fly this turn. We know he's faster. He could fly with Thundurus this turn. I do decide to protect Rotom here and just take accept the chip damage on Incineroar. I didn't want Rotom to get chipped down any more than it already had been. And I wanted to just be able to make sure I got Thunderbolts into Finny. So Rotom's just going to protect right here. I believe he just doubles into it. So actually, he does fly with the Thundurus here. So excuse me for misremembering this game a little bit, but he does fly with the Thundurus. Dragapult gonna Phantom Force, and like I said, there's no big damage move on instant. So this is another reason I was okay just going for Dragapult and exposing myself like that with Phantom Force. Yes, because normally he has a free Lash Out or a free Darkest Lariat there, but open team sheets allowed me to not be scared of that, regardless of which side the Incineroar came in on previous turns here. And at this point, I think this Protect is very questionable here. I could have... Actually, no, the Protect's not questionable. What am I saying? The Protect is for the Fly. The Protect is not questionable. I was sitting here thinking and looking back, I'm like, this Protect is questionable. But basically, the Protect is to cover the Fly on his drop down here. I could have Thunderbolted the Incineroar, but I decided to Thunderbolt the Thunders, thinking I was going to be enough to pick up the knockout. So we're going to Protect with the Dragapult here. We're going to see the Fly drop down. I believe he hit the Rotom, which is the correct play here, is to hit the Rotom, just maybe trying to see if that was enough to pick it off. Of course, thankfully it was not enough to pick off the Rotom, as Rotom just gets a nice little Thunderbolt chip damage off into the Thunders. Unfortunately, it is just going to be shy, as Incineroar Flare Blitzes, doubles up, and picks off this Rotom. So, at this point, guys, don't get me wrong, I still like my positioning right here, right? Incineroar takes a little bit of chip damage, not a lot. I still have a full health Tapu Fini. And Thunders does not get the terrain benefit, and I'm bringing in my Tapu Fini. So there's really no terrain benefit. So there is no terrain benefit for his Thundurus. And he didn't get it anyways because he's flying. I know that mechanic, guys, don't worry. I'm just speculating in theory, even if he were to have been getting a terrain benefit. But regardless of that, Finny's here, and I'm going to protect Finny and just Dragon Darts here. Basically, if he flies not going to come down and kill Finny the turn after. Right? So I Dragon Darts here, I'm picking up knockouts, and if he flies I miss the Thundurus, that's fine. He's actually going to switch out of Thundurus, which I mean is also perfectly fine. So Dragon Dart's just going to basically pick off Instant this turn, and this is where things get dicey. Okay? So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, Life Orb, Thundurus, not at +1, Thunder Punch. I know my Finny is bulky. I know very well my Finny is bulky. We also know my Tapu Fini is faster than his Tapu Fini. So, what I decided to do here was an interesting play, right? Because Thundurus has Protect. So, here's the problem. If I Dragon Darts and he protects Thundurus and Moonblast Dragapult, Dragapult dies. However, if I Phantom Force and Thundurus protects, I get that kill. There's no reason for him to fly here. He's Thunder Punching every day of the week. I also figured what I decided to do was I decided to Phantom Force here, because I was confident in Finny living. If he protected and targeted Dragapult, I just win the game getting this Calm Mind off. I am confident in Finny living this every single day of the week, as you do see the Thunder Punch coming out, going into Finny, and guess what, guys? He crit me again. So he gets the crit on Tapu Fini, and I actually did run the damage calc after. Tapu Fini would have survived. Tapu Fini would have survived that, eaten its Wicked Berry, got the Calm Mind off. The Moonblast, I believe, was probably going into Dragapult there. Even if it had gone into Finny, Finny would have been alive, and then I would have had a Dragapult. And a Tapu Fini versus his Finny. This game was over, and I know that doesn't kill. So, regardless of that, unfortunately, at this point, basically our only chance was to leave it just outside of 50%. Like, I would have needed the 48 to 52% roll, if that made sense. Like, if you guys know what I mean. Get the 48% on the first damage roll, somehow live the Moonblast, and then get another damage roll off with with a 52 or a 53% damage roll. But as you can see there, that crit on Finny would not have killed me. Finny would have been perfectly fine and we would have won the game. Now, I know there's a lot to be said there, and I do want to analyze this a little bit more. So I am just going to put the image back up so that the video doesn't just start looping, alright? So I'm going to get the image back up for you guys. But basically, my thought process there, and I know it's the end of the video, but I am going to try and make this relatively quick. You guys have been sitting through for 49 minutes of match analysis on one match. But my thought process is, okay, Finny's not dying to that, and I was fairly comfortable with that. And I'll get my Wiki Berry off, I'll get a Calm Mind off. Even if he Moonblast with his Finny into my Finny, it's not killing. So by going for Phantom Force, right, even if he were to fly and dodge my Phantom Force play, the next turn, because I Calm Minded, I can just protect my Finny. Right? And then even if he comes down on Dragapult that turn, he dies to Life Orb. And then I have a Finny at +1 versus his Finny, and my Finny would be at full health. The other scenario that I thought of is the fact that, hey, okay, so he protects and he Moonblasts into my Dragapult. And that's how I lose the game. So what I decided to do is just go for the Calm Mind, because if he protects, I get a free Calm Mind up. Right? And if he doesn't protect, like I said, I live. I don't think there's a world in which I Darts there, because it's just not safe. It's not safe, and I have a guaranteed win con the other way. Well, a 96% win con, whatever the 4% crit chance is, but I have almost a guaranteed win con that way as long as he doesn't crit me that way, right? So by going for the Phantom Force, that was kind of what I decided to lock into, and this is where I think double elimination sucks in in Pokemon, because getting hacked out of winner's bracket takes a mad toll on you as a player. Like, to be perfectly honest, I felt so defeated after this, because I felt that I played this matchup really, really well. So kind of felt really, really defeated here. But anyways, hopefully best of luck to Mike the rest of the way there. But that is going to be it for this episode. It's not really an episode. This match analysis, guys. And we are going down to losers round 4, which not where I wanted to be, because I felt like I should have won this. But either way, regardless, I'm going to get out of here before I keep rambling on. And I will be back shortly with the next match analysis.